Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast, the only podcast for dance studio owners, where each week we bring you business growth strategies to help you increase your profits, impact the lives of more students, while ensuring you get back some time to have a little life outside of the studio. It's time for you to become the go-to studio in your area. Now, here's your host, founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, Clint Salter.
Hey there, dance studio owners. It's Clint Salter here. Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast for another week. So happy that you are joining us today. We've got a very special guest on today's episode. She is an ex-yoga studio owner turned entrepreneur who now helps small business owners find the fun. That's right, guys, the fun in creating systems that really allow you to experience more freedom in your life. She is the amazing Carrie Hawson, and her whole thing is around putting processes together. She's known as the process pixie. She's a working mother. She knows what it's like to run a business and feel overwhelmed with the kids and work and life. And so she's here today to share with us how she manages to get it all done with her awesome project management and systems wisdom. Carrie, thank you for joining us. I'm so thrilled that you're here today.
Thank you, Clint. It's a real pleasure to be here and talking to all the dance studio owners in your audience.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So, Carrie, why don't you give us a brief introduction, anything that I kind of missed just then around what it is that you do with the Pixie process and how do you help people?
Okay, so what I do is I take my 15 plus years of corporate experience creating systems and processes for a wide range of businesses. Mm-hmm. I combine that with my knowledge as a yoga teacher, yoga studio runner, manager, and combine, everything together and help small business owners and entrepreneurs to really organize the business that they've created, which helps them outsource work or automate work.
I love it. I love it. What is we love the word automation and systems. I mean, these are really sexy words, but what does it mean to set up a system?
Yes. So that's one of the things. People frequently think, oh my gosh, systems, this is so complicated. Mm-hmm. I'm just running a local dance studio. Do I have to invest in some fancy software to take care of all these things? No, absolutely not. We can start really easy with some handwritten checklists. Mm-hmm. It's just anything that allows you to take. So a system to me is anything you're already doing as the business owner in your day to day. You just write it down or record a video, anything like that, so that you can give it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes complete sense.
Okay.
So let's say we're doing things all the time in our studio, right? So an example of a system could be how to order the toilet paper, to how to enroll a student, to how to enter a new student into the software, to how to do a bank transfer. I mean, these are all essentially systems and processes in our business. How do we know where to start? Should we brain dump everything that we do and then prioritize the list in terms of what we should systemize? Should we be doing the system as we're actually doing the system? For instance, using a screen record system while we're entering the details of a new student. Tell us, how do we get started if it looks like a huge monster that's too big for us to eat?
Yes, absolutely. I would start just making a big, huge master brain dump list of everything you do. And so you could put it into categories, like taking care of students. I know there's a lot of admin around teachers and running the business, because normally you have turnover in teachers, new teachers coming in, new staff coming in. You would also have things you do around getting new students, taking care of your students. And then there's, like you said, running the business, taking care of the physical studio. So ordering supplies, cleaning, when and how is cleaning done? Who is doing that? All of those things. And so, yeah, if you just sort of brain dump into categories, then you can start what I call documenting the process, which is exactly what you were saying. If you're doing something on the computer, then you would do a screen record of it. If it's something like ordering supplies, you could write that down or put it into like a Google or Word document, whatever is easy for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Makes sense. I think one of the things our studio owners struggle and are challenged by a little bit is, how do you effectively create a system that can then be delegated to someone else? Because as studio owners, they want more time back so they can work in whatever their zone of genius is. So they may have team members, maybe an office manager, a doffy, director of first impressions, a receptionist, that is helping them. How do you really effectively transition a system onto somebody else, another team member?
Right. Well, that is one of the great things about systems, is that you test the system by actually giving it to someone. So it's not going to be a super efficient process until you give it to someone else to sort of break, as I like to say. And they're going to find the holes in it. They're going to make mistakes. And then you fill those gaps and get it really super efficient. So, for example, if you hand off setting up new students in the computer system, even if you record everything, there's going to be unique things because there's unique characteristics to every time you have a new student. And so you start creating a list or additional documentation and instructions that go along with, okay, if this happens, then you do this. If this happens, then you do this. And you build up this library of instructions.
I love it. And then I think the other thing, so many people, think that once you've created a system, it's like, it's done. But can you talk a little bit about the power and the importance of, the evolution of a system, and, how often should we be maybe looking at it or updating it, those systems that we're using every day to those that maybe we visit, monthly, quarterly, annually? How do we kind of keep them updated? Because I think we've all been there. We've had systems and then we go back a few years ago and we're like, that system is like totally not even relevant anymore. Because, technology and everything's changing so quickly.
Yes. Well, first, I would empower the people that you're handing things off to say like, okay, I want to make this as efficient as possible. If there's something that doesn't make sense or you can make this better, like come to me, tell me. We want to be serving our students, taking care of them the best way we can. So if you think of any way to make this more efficient, let me know. And maybe have a section at, I don't know how frequently studio owners do staff meetings, or everyone comes to a meeting, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, depending on the size of the studio. But you could always have an item on the agenda that's like, how can we make the things we do more efficient? Or where are you noticing that we're having problems?
I love it. What are some of you're obviously working with a bunch of different clients, and so they're using a lot of different technologies to kind of help them automate, like you mentioned briefly, automate, streamline these processes. What are some of your favorite tools that maybe our studio owners could look into and start using?
Okay. Well, in an because I'm familiar with Europe and the US, not so much Australia, I haven't been there in a while, is most of the yoga studios and fitness studios, they use a tool called Mind Body Online, which is, it's about $50 a month, but it's a good tool. It does everything for onboarding students, sending them emails, selling them products, selling the packages, all of those things. I've worked at studios that have custom softwares. I'm not sure that's the best investment of money for people, unless there's something very unique going on. To manage my own yoga business and all of my classes and students, I used a tool called Acuity Scheduling, which is much more affordable. It was $10 a month when I first signed up for it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not entirely sure what it's running at the moment, because I think it's about $35 US in order to be able to sell gift certificates and packages. But I think any tool like that that allows you to automate the process of students booking their classes will make your life much easier.
Yeah, completely. So for our studio owners, Carrie just talked about Mind Body. Mind Body is great if you're doing kind of a 6-week course or an 8-week course. If you're an adult studio doing drop-in classes, studio owners should definitely all be using software. Dance Studio Pro, Jackrabbit, Dance Biz, Studio Director. They're kind of the four big ones. For anyone listening who has not yet bitten the bullet and started implementing a software, it doesn't matter how small you are, like Carrie's talking about, it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to streamline these processes. You definitely need to get yourself some studio software. So thank you, Carrie, for mentioning it. It's something that is really important. And like I can imagine, like for the yoga studios that you've worked with, and I know that you own one, it can just save so much time.
It did. It saved me at least 10 hours a week.
Yeah, wow.
And it really helped my students, because a lot of people that I talk to say, well, I don't want to automate the client interaction because people come to me for the personal touch. Okay, that's fine and all. But you would either need to charge premium prices, or, in my opinion, students get the best customer service from me when I've automated the process. Because I've written those emails, like those welcome emails, I get myself in a really high vibe state, and I'm like, welcome, I am so glad you have contacted me. I am going to give you all the information you could possibly need in a complete format. And so they get the best email that I could have written. They get it in the most timely way when I've automated, and they get all the information that they need, which is what they're after. Whereas if I don't automate the process, I can be slow to respond to emails, or I can write something from my phone, just really quick with a whole bunch of typos and missing information. And that's not a good way to take care of your students.
Yeah, totally. I love it. And the thing is, and one of the things we teach in our association in DSOA is, using automation to, streamline and put these systems in and to provide amazing service. But there's also ways that you can make it personal. And I think that's the thing. People think that it's either all automated, no personal attention, everyone feels like a number, or highly manual. And there is a mix. You can integrate both of those things together. And I think that is really, really important.
Exactly.
I want to talk about overwhelm. You know, I know that you're a mother, you've worked with lots of mothers that run their businesses. And so it feels sometimes like every ball is like in the air and then they all drop at the same time. I'd love for you to share a little bit around your philosophy of getting out of overwhelm and also be able to manage, you know, a business and a family and a life. You know, all while having a business like a dance studio, which is very consuming.
Mm-hmm. It is. So I think first, from being a yoga teacher, it's just kind of accepting and trying to be present with the fact that things are going to be super crazy and overwhelming sometimes. And you're going to have those times. And so not to beat yourself up about it. Just try to minimize the amount of times that you're in that overwhelm. So a key to me is asking for help and getting help from other people. As dance studio owners, there are people around, like the teachers. I know as a yoga teacher, I always had like extra time that I could, you know, hang around the studio and do things. So people are happy to help you out and be a part of building your business if you just ask them. So yeah, ask for help. And then two of my other top tips are to write everything down. I find when I get the stuff out of my head, so, that really helps, because overwhelm frequently happens, in my opinion, when you feel like you are the only person that can do something. And so if other people know how to do the things you're doing, then you can just ask them to do it. And then you don't feel so overwhelmed anymore. Yes.
What I want to jump in and just ask you, like, how do you capture that data? So like when you're, you know, if you've got a to-do list, if you've got a journal, like how are you getting it out of your head? And then what are you doing with it once it's kind of out of your head? Are you sorting it? Are you prioritizing it? Do you have any kind of method there, or are you just like, okay, it's out? That's a good thing.
I keep ongoing lists basically, and I try to create processes for everything. So in my home life, I have like my calendars up on the wall so I know when everything's happening. It's the same for my business. I keep everything very visual so I can always see at a glance what's going on, the big picture when things need to be done. So to give that an example for dance studio owners, you could look at, okay, here's everything I do in a month, or here's big promotions we have coming up. If you do like open studio weekends or days or things like that, you're going to want to do promotions building up to that. So if you put like the key dates, and then you break down into step by step all the things you need to do to get ready for those big events. Then you can start scheduling things out. But when you brain dump all these things, like we're talking about your tasks that need to be done every month, every week, there are things that are daily, opening the studio, closing the studio. Those are good places to start with, just writing all the steps down.
Yeah.
And in those cases, for things that are happening at the physical location of the dance studio, I like to do those in a written format, because then I can just like put them up on the wall. And if I think like, oh, I forgot this step, then I have a piece of paper and I can just write on it, scribble into it. Oh, I forgot this. And then later edit something into a prettier format.
Yeah, I think that's great because, one of the things that our studio owners always talk about is like, there is so much to do, like everything's in my head, and they say those things,
Exactly.
Everything inside my head. So that's a great tip on getting it out and then making sense of it is really important. And that's where you'll get a lot more kind of impact from going through that process. Carrie, what do you want to leave our studio owners with? I know that we're running out of time. So what would you love to leave them with? If there's just one thing that they can implement and take away from this conversation, what would that one thing be?
So the one thing that I would like to leave them with is that just start small. Like start with whatever's feels doable to you and build from there. And start small and don't worry about it being perfect. It is never going to be perfect. So just do your best, ask other people for help. And yeah, that was many things to leave them with, but
Awesome. Great. That's fantastic. Carrie, where can our studio owners go to find out more about you?
They can go to theprocesspixie.com. I don't have an extensive website at the moment. You can find me a lot on social media on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/processpixie. And I'm very active on Periscope with live streaming. I also do that on Facebook. And again, on Periscope and Twitter, I'm also Process Pixie. We keep it very easy to find me.
Awesome. I love it. It's great. Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out to chat with us today. I greatly appreciate it, guys. Lots of really good tips there around creating systems, processes, and automating those systems and processes as well. So thanks for your time. Really great to chat.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. For all the resource links from the show and to receive access to our free dance studio growth training, make sure you visit transformmydancestudio.com.